Well, one of our favorite things to do at this time of year is to highlight holiday performances by local artists. The artists of Flipside Opera and Art Song Collective are one of the first to stop by the Morning Light Studios this year to share more about their holiday concert, a continuation of their beloved Opera by the Pint series, where you can watch opera singers strut their stuff at the Little Brown Jug Brewery in the Exchange District. Joined this morning in studio by a very full complement of Flipside Opera performers. We've got Lisa Rumpel and Judy Oatway, two of the folks who run Flipside Opera and Art Song Collective. Also joined by two of the performers for the holiday edition of Opera by the Pint, Christopher Dunn and Diana Rockwell. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
There we go. There. Goodness. Who talks first? Okay. Well, maybe, you know what, Judy, why don't we start with you to say, for those who have never been, and there might be a few out there who have not heard of Opera by the Pint and are going, what the heck am I talking about? What is Opera by the Pint, and why should they go?
Well, you should go because it's amazing music, first off. One, it's free. It's a really fun and sort of interactive concert show. Not even a concert, really, just like amazing music. So we do 3 sets, and it's going to be this time a bit of a combination of operatic and musical theater highlights, and then also some interspersed with some holiday festive singing as well. And one of the best parts about Opera by the Pint is that everybody who's there gets to join in. We're going to do a few sing-alongs this time. And Lisa and I really felt like that we needed to do something at this time of year. And we are so excited to have everyone come and sing and join us. So we're really getting excited about this week's show.
Amazing. Okay, so let's turn it over to Christopher then to ask, you've been a performer in Opera by the Pint before. What is some of the, maybe what's one of the unique qualities of a performance like this, like what Judy's saying, that it's not quite that sort of typical opera concert? What is it like to perform at Little Brown Jug?
I think it's a fantastic way to see how the audience is doing as an opera performer. We did Tales of Hoffman with Manitoba Underground Opera earlier. A number of the cast in that were on the Opera by the Pine show back in September. And where that show was going to be so publicly involved and like interacting with people, I think it gave us a great chance to be near the crowd. And this isn't like a crowd work situation. Don't worry, you won't be pressured to participate other than singing along. But I think it's a great gateway to this art form that is so accessible when it comes down to it, and the stories are so human. And I think you get much better an impression of that when you go to a show like this and are closer physically as well to people.
So, Diana, you've performed at many other places alongside of the Opera by the Pint stage. Is there a different way that you perform or approach a performance like this when it's in a bit more of a casual setting versus some other performance venue that you might find yourself in the fancy gown and the heels, perhaps?
Yeah, great question. You always want to put your best foot forward, I think, when you're performing. But as Christopher was saying, in a more relaxed environment like Opera by the Pint, you get to feel, I think, a little bit more human when you perform. You get to see people's faces and see the reactions and see them laughing or crying sometimes. And so having that barrier removed of the lights on the stage and the fancy dress and sometimes even you're above them because the stage is so high. Right. Having that barrier removed just, I feel, makes me break out of the sometimes cold wall that there is in performing and brings me closer to them. That makes me also want to share more of my human emotions because I am human and they are humans. And at the core of our art form, we're humans just telling stories about humans. So
I love that image of breaking down that cold wall, which is very apt as well, Christopher, to talk about the holiday sort of performance theme that we're thinking about here for adding in carols as well. So I'm wondering, what do you think an Opera by the Pint performance can add to the sort of festive performance calendar here in the city of Winnipeg that maybe they won't get at other performances here around the city?
I think this is the perfect middle ground between going caroling and going to the opera at, like, say, Centennial Concert Hall, because one, you get to stay warm, and
Right
two, like, sing some beautiful music and be guided along in it by the voices performing on the show. And yeah, there's nothing better. Like, coming together to get to sing with each other during the holidays is such a blessing.
Okay. Well, everybody's singing together. Judy, you mentioned that a little bit before. I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit more about what the sort of holiday parts of this Opera by the Pint are that go along with the more typical performances of arias in this space that audiences have come to love with this program.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we definitely tried to look for some operatic holiday elements. Some of them aren't always happy.
Sure.
But the holidays aren't always happy. But I think we are touching on all the emotions, as we do try to do for Opera by the Pint. So we're going to highlight some stuff from Bohème, Werther, as well as some more standard Christmas fare. So we're going to step out of the operatic world a little bit as well for some of the sing-alongs. And then you'll also hear some like classic Christmas bangers like "Oh Holy Night."
You can't
we
not,
all love
right?
exactly.
I kind of love that as a tagline for the show, actually. Bohème, Werther, and other Christmas fare. Like, I feel like that should be on them.
So I was about to point out the exact same thing, Christopher, that you
There you
can't
go.
get these folks into a room without highlight the rhymes, as it were.
That's fine, I guess. I'm going to throw it up on social media right after this, I guess.
That's fantastic. So at the same time, you talked a little bit before, actually you and Diana both kind of spoke about this, the not always happy nature of the holidays that can live in opera in stories like Werther and in La Bohème, both of which, spoiler for those of you who have not seen, have rather tragic ends. Maybe we can speak to that a little bit, Diana, to say what do you think opera as a genre speaks into the holiday music that permeates all of us? We've got our favorites, we've got the carols that we get to sing, but what do you think that these sort of all-encompassing emotions that opera puts out are worth in the holiday season?
Yeah, well, working off of the example of Bohème, there are people in love who can't be together or feel like they can't be together due to circumstances and a little bit of poverty and hardship in their lives. And so there is that undercurrent of sadness, of melancholy that accompanies the beautiful, rich love that they feel for one another. So it's this dual-sided, I think, humanistic dichotomy that we often find in life. For some unfortunate people, like the folks that Little Brown Jug is collecting donations for, the holidays is not a happy time. It is a time of cold and worry. And there are other folks in places all over the world who can't afford the beautiful Christmas dinners that so many of us are accustomed to, or can't afford to give each other gifts. And that's just not part of their reality. And I think another image comes to mind also of poor people in France. Manon by Massenet is another opera where a choice needs to be made by the main character whether or not she wants to live with the person that she loves in dire straits, in a ramshackle apartment, or if she wants to find luxury without that love. And I think that sometimes is it's beautiful to return to opera and to return to those stories, because many of them, the sadness and the tragedy accompanies the highest of highs and the most happy moments. And I think we find that in life, and that usually is reflected most prominently at the holiday season.
Yeah, of course. There's a lot, as you're talking, it strikes me that there's so much of this human connection that comes from these performances, and enhanced by the fact that you're not up on a stage separated from the audience in the same way. You are amongst the audience. You are the audience when you are not singing. Christopher, maybe we can ask you this to say, what do you take away from performing at an Opera by the Pint into the rest of your performance practice that maybe you wouldn't get from other performing experiences?
Getting it in front of people is one of the hardest things when you break it out of the rehearsal room. And I think just feeling that that warmth from people, looking into each other's eyes. There was this stand-up comic that I listened to one time give a workshop, and he said he would go into the audience and touch every seat in the venue before, just to know that like this is the physical space that we're in. And I think Opera by the Pint, at Flipside Opera on Instagram, provides that wonderful like human connection again to the experience of singing for people. Like who you're doing it for is way more readily apparent, and that's beautiful. And I love that, like, opera and heightened emotion. The holidays are heightened emotion season, and like it's so apt. Yeah, but like we're all there to experience it together, and we all know we are. Yeah.
Maybe, Judy, I'll throw one last question over to you, which is to say, what do you think, this is a big esoteric question I'm giving you, what do you think is so special about singing together over the holidays and how it brings people together?
That is like my number, you're going to make me cry, Nolan. I'm not going to cry. It's too early. That is one of my like core memories. One of my biggest things is singing together at Christmas Eve services. That's like probably my number one favorite thing that I did as a kid, and I've done my whole life. So I think that for me is like the basis of why I love it over the holidays. Are all my family members amazing singers? No, they are not. But they try.
They're listening to you right now. You know, Judy.
Oh, yeah, they probably are. And they're going to want to sing right into my ear. But that's okay. But the thing is that the joy of it and the fun of it, doing it all together, and sometimes like just getting to sing, right? That's, I think, one of our favorite things of why we included sing-alongs from the very beginning of Opera by the Pint is that, you know, just the joy of singing. What a great way to send yourself off into the holidays and like join in with these fabulous singers here and get to have a good time while you do it. Like, can we ask for something better? I don't know.
Probably not.
So.
Probably not. Of course, the festive edition of Opera by the Pint taking place December the 11th, Wednesday, 7 o'clock at Little Brown Jug. We'll give all the details on our website later on today. For now, though, Judy, Christopher, and Diana, thank you so much. And Lisa, of course.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thanks for having us, Nolan.
Thank you, Nolan.